Hello, class. Welcome to the word review test. Why is it a review and test? Because we're going to review and do a test because we're going to count this as our word test. So I think that's going to be cool. I did have a little change of pace here. I did borrow a Windows laptop at school, and I was all set to do a tutorial on the Windows laptop, and it wasn't working. And they do not have chargers, and Miss Rosalind was gone for the day, and we're both out tomorrow. And I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do now? Because the Mac version, the full version of Word looks a little different. So I came up with an idea, and I'm going to explain it now. What you're going to do, you're going to need at least one photo. So if you want to get that first, you can pause this anytime you want and work a little bit at a time. That'd probably be best for everybody. If you have a photo, a JPEG photo available, great. If you don't, you can go on the web and download one. I'm not picky what it is, as long as it's school appropriate. Okay. And so without further ado, because we're going to be inserting a picture and working with it a little bit, so that's why you're going to need to do that. You can always get it later if you want to. Open up, I recommend using Chrome. And we're going to I'm just going to go to Google to start out. We're doing something a little different. Say, Mr. Rio, why aren't you opening up Microsoft Word? Well, the number one reason is my version of Word looks a little bit different than your version of Word. And that's a problem. That's why I was going to use a Windows computer. But I looked over the online-only version. The version I kept telling you guys not to use because it's missing a lot of features. Well, I decided, I never really looked that hard at it. So I went in, clicked around. There's a lot of the features that I thought were not there are there. You just have to click around and find them. So I thought, what the heck? Let's do the online version. It'll look the same for me. It'll look the same for you. It's good to know it and learn it in case you ever have to use it. And it's, once you learn the basics of what's out there, you can find it in either version. You just got to look around a little bit. And that's a good exercise, too, is to just click around menus and see what's there and everything. So without further ado, we're at Google. So you might say, well, what are you talking about, Mr. Rio? Where are we going to go if we're not opening up Word? We're going to go in Google. Now make sure you're logged in with your school login. I got my school login right there. Then in Google, you can go simply to Office 365. Now, it's going to take you to, you can probably go to www.office.com. But what we're going to do, now you guys will probably have to log in. What's going to happen with me is it's going to take me directly into it. I don't know if you guys got to log in your first time there or not. If you're already logged into your browser for Google, maybe not, because we use the same login. But you might have to, now that I think about it, it's Microsoft. So I'm going to click this. Now, unfortunately, I can't do the login with you for the simple fact that mine doesn't do it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pretend there's a Microsoft box comes up. You put in your username, put in your school, and this is your school account, your school password. Now, if somewhere along the way there it says, is this personal or like organization or business or education, click the one that's like business, organization, education. Don't click the one that's personal. And that should take you through to get something like this. Now, there's a possibility yours looks a bit different depending on where it lands in Office 365. You may see some of your OneDrive documents down here. That's what this is. Office 365 is everything Microsoft Office. You got OneDrive there where you store your files. You've got over here on the left, you got Microsoft Word. We'll come back to that. You got Excel. You got PowerPoint. You've got Outlook. That's your school email. You can use that. There's OneDrive right there, and I'm not going to go into the other ones right now. There's a few other ones on here. But what we're going to do here is click on the one that's Word. Now, there's a possibility your screen looks a little different. I'm on a laptop. You might be on a desktop. They might come up with things in slightly different order. So the bottom line is just find Microsoft Word's icon after you logged in. And then it's going to bring up something like this. One of the options will be a new blank document. That's the one we're going to use, so ignore these other ones here. Okay, so go ahead and click on the one that's a new blank document. Okay, if you made it this far, then all the rest of it's just going to be doing the assignment. Okay, And like I said, you can pause this video at any point. You can rewind, go back over it. But we're going to do this assignment together, and it's going to be both a review and your test. So we're going to talk about Microsoft Word. You have watched other videos. You've done other assignments. This is just kind of going to wrap it up. So to start with, we're going to put up here at the very top, Word Test 2021. Now that's kind of small. You may not see it real good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down here in the bottom right, and there's a zoom. There's 100%. I'm going to click on the little plus, and I'm going to make it bigger. Now that's not making the text bigger. That's just making my view bigger. It doesn't change at all the size of the document if I were to print it out or anything like that. Okay. Then we're going to put your name underneath. Okay, so that's for your name. Okay. Then underneath that, we're going to put a 1. And notice when I put a 1 period and then I hit the space bar, it automatically moved it over a little bit. Now before we go any further, we're going to do a really quick tour here of Microsoft Word. Okay, word processing is all about typing documents. Okay, now way over here in the file menu, it brings up options here. If you want to create another new document, you want to open an existing document, you want to make a copy to a save as, and then they got print, share, and things like that. That's over here. By default, when you're on the online version of Word, it saves it into your OneDrive folder. Okay, so we'll come back to that. But this is the file menu. You can make a new one. There's home. We can close this out by clicking right there. Okay. So I'll just open it up again. It's automatically saved. That's why there's no save on there. It's automatically in your OneDrive. Okay. So that's what's going on there. Now the next over here, which is selected, see that line underneath it? That's the home toolbar. These are toolbars. So along here we have undo and redo. So say you type something or delete something or make some mistake, you can come up here and do a quick undo. And if you undo something and change your mind, whoops, I didn't want to undo that, you can redo it. You don't see a redo there because I didn't undo anything. The next one over is cut, copy, and paste. You can also use the keyboard shortcuts, which are here. Mine are the Mac ones, so that's why mine has the command thing. On a Windows computer, it's Control. So Control X is cut, Control C is copy, Control V is paste. The next one over is a little paintbrush. I still call it Format Painter. It is called Format Painter. Okay. So I bounce around so many different word processors. Some use different names. That's a really cool one. We're going to come back to that. Here's your fonts. You have all kind of fonts here you can choose from. You can scroll down, and you can either pick the font first and then type, or you can type something, highlight it, and change the font. This is the font size. By default, it's an 11 point. 72 points is an inch. Give you some comparison. So usually when you're typing just regular text in a document, it's going to be like 11 or 12. And then if you're doing a title, it might be 14 or 16 or 18. And then if you're making a sign or something really big, you might make a lot bigger text than that. When you're not sure, we're going to highlight right now. We're going to do our first little, let's edit something. We highlighted this here. Now notice right when I highlighted, a little thing came up with options. But watch this. Say you don't know how big you want it. See, you got the little A. It says font size, grow font size, and this one will shrink. You can just highlight it and click this here and make it, hit it a few times. Now, we don't want it massively big, but a little bit. Now, say I go a few times too many. I say, oh, it's a little too big. I go to the one next to it, make it a little smaller. Now, I can click bold and make it bold. I can click italic and make it italic. I can hit underline and underline it. And if I change my mind on any of these, I can just click and undo it by clicking on it. I'm going to leave bold. So leave bold. I don't care if you leave underline or italic. That's up to you. Now, we're not going to do highlighter here. We'll come back and do highlighter somewhere else. But that's just like using like a yellow highlighter. If you want to do, we're going to do we'll make something with that a little later. Then we got font color. Now remember, this is still selected. We haven't deselected it. If you accidentally deselect it by clicking, you can just drag across. This is called an I-beam. And sometimes it'll give you some options right there to work with it, but I'm going to go up here. Here's your font color. You can click here. You can pick one of these colors that already are out here, or you can go down to more colors, and they got different ways you can pick. Like say I want a bluish, I click down here, and then I click up here, try to get the color blue I want, and then I hit OK. Okay, so I'm going to deselect, and now I just made that blue. This here is clear formatting. We're not going to do that because I don't want to clear it. Now, whenever you see some little dots, and depending how big your computer is, how big your screen is, sometimes it'll compress menus and options, and then, the bigger it is, the less it's going to be compressed. But in my case, it doesn't fit everything on here. So if I click there, it says more font options. I could do a strike through, and I'd have to highlight it first. I can do a subscript like you might use in chemistry class. I could do a superscript like you might use either of these in math class. And you can change the case. You can highlight something and make it all uppercase. You can make it lowercase and things like that. Okay, so we're not going to do that right now, but I'm just showing you where it is. Okay, now this is supposed to be your name, so pretend that's your name. So we got our title here, and we're going to do one last thing with the title. With our cursor next to it, okay, see up here, this one right here. I'm going to jump around now. We're not going to do them all in order because I'm not going to necessarily cover everything. This is text alignment. So right now it looks like it's on center. I'm going to click. Oh, it's not. It's on left. So I'm going to click on center. Now the reason it did this here was because I had my cursor next to it. So if your cursor's next to it, or if you highlight it, whatever you do here is going to do it. So we have I'll do a right. There's a right alignment. Okay, there's a center alignment, and there's a left alignment. And you can find this often in a couple different places in the full version of Microsoft Word. So right now I'm going to deselect that and see what's going on here. Now they also have something here. I'll highlight it one more time. They have something called styles here. These are a whole bunch of pre-made styles. So if you ever wanted to try one of these out, you can click on it. We're not going to do it right now, but I just want to show you, where it is. This is find. Find is when you're looking for words. Find and replace. I'll talk about that later. This here is reuse files. I'm going to skip that. Dictate. We're going to come to that in a little bit. Editor. Okay, that's for spelling, grammar, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to close that out. Then I got a few dots over here. We got more line spacing here. This is like when we want to double space or 1.5 space or that. You can add space between paragraphs and all kind of stuff here. And then we also got special indents, like no indent or first line indent or hanging indent. And paragraph options, which we'll be coming back to later. That's an important one. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to click here in our first thing here, and we're going to put you can highlight words in different colors. Now we typed a sentence called you can highlight words in different colors, and I'm going to make this a bit bigger so you can see it better. Okay, I'm going to make it like 18 point. Okay, so hopefully you can see that now. You can highlight words in different colors. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to highlight words. So we're going to use the highlight tool here. So let's start with the word highlight itself. We're going to highlight that. And by default, the highlighter is probably in yellow. Mine is. So that's the most common when you think of a highlighter. So we'll click on that. Just click on it. We don't even have to pull this down because it'll do yellow. Now, highlight the word different and pull down the little menu there and pick a different color highlighter. I'm going to do this one there. And then highlight the word you and pull this down and pick a different one. I'll do pink. And then do colors. Highlight colors, pull down here, and pick any of these that you want to do. I'm going to try green. It's kind of a dark green. So I'm going to deselect. So there's the first one that we're doing. We did that one right there. I numbered it 1. Think of it as like one of your questions, except we're doing it together. Now you notice I didn't want my number 2 that close underneath it. Okay, I suppose I could put it there. I guess I will. So now we'll go on to the next one here. And the next one is, we're going to write a sentence. Sometimes you will use bold, italic, and underline in Word. Now I purposely capitalize bold with a B, italic with an I, and underline with a U. So you probably already figured out, what are you going to do, Mr. Rio? Well, we're going to highlight bold, and we're going to click on bold. We're going to highlight italic, and we're going to click on the I up here for italic. And we're going to highlight underline, and we're going to click up here and do an underline. Okay, so you got an idea how that works. Bold, italic, and underline, and how they look. Now we're going to do here, okay, we will do a dictate practice. So we'll type dictate practice first. Then we got our cursor there, and we're just going to do a real simple one, see if it works. So dictate is up here. You got your cursor right there. So I click on dictate. It's gonna, okay, now it asked me the first time I did it if I, whoops, I'm talking. Okay, I kind of screwed that up. Okay, I'm going to delete this and start over. The first time I did, now when you delete or stop, it's no longer dictating. Okay, you have to click it again. But what happened was the first time I did it, and I was practicing before I made this video, it asked me to, to allow to use the microphone. So it didn't do it this time because I already did that. It already got permission to use my microphone. So if that comes up, that's okay. Now I'm going to pretend I didn't do just that. I'm going to click dictate. We'll pretend a box comes up and I click OK on the microphone, but you'll have to do that probably if you haven't done this before. Now I'm going to be careful, and I'm just going to do a sentence. Now it gets tricky in dictate when you get into punctuation and everything, like how to do question marks and periods and all that. So we're not going to do that in this here. We're just going to do the basic words, and then you can go back later and add all that yourself. It'll save you a lot of time typing. Okay? So let me practice this. This is a practice dictation in Microsoft Word to see how this feature works. Now I clicked that little microphone there to end. So because when I first clicked it, this came up, but it didn't go right away. I had to click it. But either way, it takes a little bit of practice. But this here is just practice. Now I noticed we didn't do the punctuation. You can just type that in yourself, but you can save yourself a lot of time typing. And of course, I'm just showing you the introduction. There's a lot more features in there and that you can learn yourself. But that's kind of fun to try that out and see how it works. And we may use it again in a little bit. Okay, so this next one we're going to do here, we're going to do paragraphs. Now, we're going to do paragraphs, but see where I type 4 and I got paragraphs with a colon? We don't want to actually make the paragraph right there because we want to have like space for a first line indent and all that. So I'm going to hit return a couple of times. So there's no number 5. It's just a cursor right there. It should be pretty easy to see. So now you could type what I'm about to do, or you can try dictate. I don't care which one you do. But I'm going to do a simple paragraph, and I'm going to do it about our class. So here I go. Computer literacy is a required class for all Harper Creek students. We cover Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. We also cover the Google Apps for Education, and we learn a lot about the internet. A few other topics include video editing, photo editing, audio editing, and learning about careers in technology. After you take computer literacy, you can take other elective computer and digital media classes. Then I click the little speaker there to end it, or the little microphone, sorry about that. Now this doesn't have any punctuation in it. I didn't mean that to be one sentence. So I'm going to go back over this here. We got computer literacy is a required class for all Harper Creek students, period. So I'm going to put in a period there. I'm going to change the W and we to a capital. We cover Microsoft Word, and there should be a comma. Excel, comma. And it's supposed to say and not in. So I'm going to put and. I don't always pronounce it real well. And PowerPoint. And then that's going to be a period. Then the next we, I'm going to capitalize with a capital W. We also cover the Google Apps for Education. Now I'm going to change the E in the beginning of education to a capital. And we learn a lot about the internet. Okay, I'm going to put a period after internet. So this sentence here is we also cover the Google Apps for Education, and we learn a lot about the internet, period. Then this A is going to be a capital. A few other topics include video editing. That you have a comma after video editing. Photo editing. Another comma after photo editing. Audio editing. Another comma there. And this isn't the girl's name, Anne. This should be and. And learning about careers. It should be in technology, not and technology. Then put a period after technology. Then we're going to do a capital A for after. After you take computer literacy, comma, you can take other elective computer and digital media classes. I'm going to put the D in digital to capital and the D and the M in media to capital and put a period at the end. So if you just want to type this paragraph, that's okay. And this is probably the only paragraph we're going to do, but we are going to copy and paste it a few times. Okay? So we'll type one, we just do one paragraph, and then we're going to copy it and paste it, and we're going to format it differently a few times, okay? I don't know why there's a comma right there. Okay, that was my mistake. So this is the way it should look right here. Probably when this is all done, I'll include a PDF of this file, so if you need to look at it, you can look at it. Now I'm going to highlight this entire paragraph. Now I can drag like that. There's one way I can highlight. I can put my cursor in one word, let's say computer, and I double click it, I triple click, and it does the whole paragraph. Or I can just do one word. Say I just want to do literacy. I double click. Now I have to be careful I don't triple click. If I just want to add literacy, maybe I want to, underline it, change the color, whatever it may be. Double click will select a word. Triple click will do the whole paragraph. Okay? So highlight the whole paragraph. Now you can do one of two things right now. You can pull down this menu right here and select copy. If you're on a Windows computer, you can do a Control C. If you're on a Mac computer, you can do a Command C. Okay, I did a Command C also. Okay, now we have a paragraph here. Now what we're going to do here, we're going to hit return at the end here and give ourselves a little space. And we're going to put in 4 of these. Okay, I mean 4 total. That counts the first one. And we're gonna edit all these a little bit different. That's why we're doing it. So instead of having you type 4 paragraphs, we'll learn a little bit about copy and paste here. Now the only difference of cut and copy is copy leaves the original as it is, makes a copy. It goes in something called the pasteboard or clipboard, and then you can put your cursor somewhere else. It could even be in another document, and you could paste it in. And you can paste multiple times, as you can see. Cut would remove it. So if I wanted to remove it from one location, move it to another, I would cut it. It still goes to the clipboard, and then I put the cursor where I want it, and I paste it. It's that simple. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of paragraph formatting. So highlight the first paragraph, now that you got 4 of them on your document. And again, if you fall behind doing any of this, just stop this video, go back, do a little at a time. I'll include a PDF of this document so you can see what it looks like. And, just follow along. If you got 2 monitors, that's the best. You can have one just for this and one of your maybe school computer doing the assignment. So over here in these little dots right there, if you go down to the bottom of this, now I say these little dots. If you got a big monitor, you may not have these little dots. You may have these options in your toolbar. But if you don't have these options in your toolbar, if they're little dots here, you can go down here to paragraph options. Now I believe they're also under layout. So I'm going to just look around here. See up here where it says layout? Okay, we go to layout. Well, while we're at layout, let's look at a few other things. Here's margins right here. The default is 1 inch, top, left, bottom, right. And we won't go into the other ones here, but there's other ones. So that's where you can adjust margins. You can do custom ones down here at the bottom. So the margin is the space from the edge of the paper. See where it's gray here? That's outside your document. Then this space right here is 1 inch. And it's the same thing at the top and the right and the bottom. Okay? Orientation is, do you want it portrait or landscape? Portrait's up and down like normal. These are 8.5 by 11. And landscape would be sideways. I'm not going to do that, but if you're doing something where you wanted your document sideways, that's where you can do it. You notice I'm under layout here. Size is what size paper you're using. Sometimes people use different size paper. The standard paper we use most of the time is letter, 8.5 by 11 inches. Here's an indent left. I'm going to ignore that for now, and the indent right. And the line spacing, I'm going to ignore all that. Now I come down here, there are 3 dots here, just like we had on the home toolbar. And I click, and there it is again, paragraph options. Okay, so now I'm going to open it up. So this is the exact same paragraph options, whether you go to it from the home menu or from the layout menu. Now we have the first paragraph here selected. We're going to do a couple of things with it. Okay, you got this box here. So we're going to the alignment. We're going to leave the first one on left. Okay, we got spacing. We want any special spacing here? Let's see, line spacing, multiple, after, 8 point, at. Now go to special right here. See special right there? Pull that down and select first line. Now underneath here, it's going to do first line indent. You know how paragraphs have a first line indent? It's going to do 0.5. We want 0.3. So you can use the little down arrows here, or you can highlight here and just type 0.3. It'll know it's inches. Okay. And we'll leave it. Let's see what this here is. We're going to put on single spacing. So what this is left alignment, which means our paragraph is lined up here on the left. We have a first line indent. It's going to indent that first line. We're going to make it 0.3, and we're going to do single spacing. And we're going to hit OK. Okay, that's like a conventional paragraph. That looks like a typical paragraph. Now, the left alignment means it's going to line up your sentences here, but not over here. So this will look a little different depending on the words. And this is called wrapping. When you type and it automatically goes to the next line, that's called wrapping. We want that. Every time you do a paragraph, don't hit return until the end of the paragraph. Otherwise, Microsoft Word will think wherever you hit return is a paragraph. So if you hit return after each line, it would treat each one as a separate paragraph. So you never want to hit return when you're typing a paragraph until the very end of the paragraph. Okay, was that simple enough? Now we're going to do the second one. We're going to highlight this here. You can triple click, you can drag across it. We're going to go back up here, select our paragraph options, except now we're going to do some different ones. For our alignment here, we're going to do center. We're not going to do a first line indent. And we're going to go over to line spacing here and do 1.5 lines. So it's going to center all of these lines, so it's going to look weird. It's going to, we aren't going to have any special first line indent. And we're going to do 1.5 spaces, so it's going to be spread out a little more than the paragraph we did first. So there it is. I'm going to deselect. Now you might say, Mr. Rio, when would you do text like this? I would do stuff like that sometimes on a sign. You know, if you're putting up, maybe you're doing poems, things like that, you might want centered and look something like that. Okay, so this is centered, and it has no first line indent. It may look like a first line indent, but that's only because when centered, this line was bigger. And we got 1.5 spaces, so this is bigger. Don't worry if this overlaps the page. Not a big deal for what we're doing here, because we're not printing it out. If we're printing it out, we might move it around. Okay, now we're going to do the third paragraph. So I'm going to do a triple click here. And then I'm going to go back up here and go back to paragraph options. Now for this one here, we're going to do a justified, which I'll explain in a minute. We're going to do the first line indent. And we're going to make it 0.3 again. And then we'll go over here and we will do, double's kind of big. So we'll pretend like we're doing double, but we'll do 1.5. Otherwise, it really makes it really big. And then we'll hit OK. Now here's what happened. We might say, this looks different, Mr. Rio. Well, we got our 1.5 spacing, just like here. So it's spread out just like that one. We have the first line indent, like the first paragraph. So that looks pretty similar. And then the big difference is justified. What does justify do? Well, what the first paragraph did is it lined everything up on the left, and then over here was kind of, just kind of wherever it wrapped. The second paragraph centered everything, so it wasn't lined up on either side. Now the third paragraph, well, here's what justify does. And they use justify a lot in magazines and newspapers and things like that. It made a perfect alignment there on the left, and it made a perfect alignment here on the right. Look at that, that look nice? Now how does it do that magic? Well, it's adjusts the space between the words. So you'll see some bigger gaps here in between the words. Okay, so that's how it makes it look so nice here with alignment. Okay, so we have first, this one here was single space, left alignment, and first line indent. This one is no first line indent, 1.5 centered. And this one here is first line alignment, 1.5 justified. This last one we're going to do a little weird. We're going to triple click here. Okay, we're going to go back to our paragraph. Now for the special, we're going to go to what's called a hanging indent. And we'll leave the 0.5 there, that's okay. And we'll leave it single spaced. And we'll leave it left alignment. So really the only thing we're changing is the first special here to the hanging indent. It's the same area as where the first line is, except it's called hanging. We're going to leave the default 0.5. We're going to leave the default left. I'm not sure what multiple means, but we'll just leave it and see how that looks. And we'll hit OK. Now look what it did. It did the opposite of a first line indent. It kept the first line over on the left, and it indented everything else. Okay, so that's what it did there. Now, one thing I'll just show you here real quick, in case you ever had to do it. let's say you ever had to do a paragraph like this, but you want it indented like the whole paragraph, not just the first line, but everything. You can go up here and you could, let's try this, before text indentation. I'm going to go to 0.5 there and 0.5 here. That's probably, let's see, that's probably not what I was thinking. Well, let's see what this does. Oh, it did. Okay. It did bring it in a little bit more, it looks like. Yep. So it went half of an inch in more, half an inch here. So it did indent the whole thing, because this looks a little different than what I'm used to. Now, if you want to try that like I just did and leave it, that's okay. I'll know what you did. If you didn't do that, you just watch me, that's okay. I'll actually put this back so it doesn't confuse you when I use this as a practice one. So that's paragraphs, and that's one of the most important features. You can find it here on the layout menu. And if you're on the home menu, you can go down here about the same area, and it's down here after some other options here, and you can do that. While we're here, I'm going to show you what the show hide does. If I click this here, it looks like a weird backward P. It brings up all these symbols. Everywhere you see that weird backward P with the black, that's showing where you hit return. So, remember I said don't hit return till the end of a paragraph? In Microsoft Word, everywhere where it's hit return, it looks at it as a paragraph. Okay, now when I did this dictation, I put the dot in between there. And you might see some other little symbols on occasion. Okay, so that's what that does. And now we don't want to normally leave that on there, so we'll click back up here. We'll take off the show hide. And, okay, we'll pretty much leave this as is. Now, they also have line spacing here. Let's say you didn't want to go in paragraph. You just want to highlight some text and make it double space or 1.5. You can do it right there. Or say you want to do some special indents. You can do some indenting right there. So, it gives you some options there. Okay, so that was a big section that we just did there. Okay, so now we're going to hit return here. And we'll go up to number 5. And we will call this insert a photo or graphic. And then hit return. Now hit return twice so it doesn't say 6 afterwards. So we're calling this insert a photo or graphic, but we're going to insert our photo or graphic underneath here. So now you could also insert other things, but we'll do this. Remember I said to have a photo available. I'm going to click on insert here. And it shows me I could put a page break. And it puts it'll automatically break the page so it starts a new page after this line. I could insert a table, which we'll come back to later. We're going to do this one here. Insert a picture. They do got something called stock images. You got this device, or that you can go on Bing. So basically wherever you can get an image. So if you want to look, I'm going to go on this device. Now that's me looking for one on my computer. And I'm going to go here and click on my desktop over here on the left. Now I'm on a Mac. It looks a little different maybe than on Windows. But I'm going to look for a picture I have on here called Southeast School. And I can see it right there. And I'm trying to figure out. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, there it is. Now I'm going to hit open. And here's a picture of my old elementary school I just happen to have laying around. And then that picture is selected here. Now, once you bring in a picture, you got all this editing comes up, something you never see anywhere else. Okay? Now, at the moment, if I click on this and try to move it, it doesn't move that easily. So one of the first things I do is go up here, see where it says wrap text? Pull that down. Now, I select the one, let's see, you got square left, square right, behind the text, inline text. I was looking for tight, inline with text. Okay, I don't see the one that I wanted. So that's kind of weird. I'm used to seeing some other ones. Okay, I may come back to that. Let's see, we also got rotate. We have crop. I'm going to click on crop for right now, and I'm going to pretend I want to crop this a little bit. Now, it doesn't literally crop the photo. It just crops what you can see. Now I can click outside of this, and now it got a more crop. Now you don't have to crop your photo. You can just watch me if you want. But if you want to crop this photo, you can do that. I'm going to click on the image. Notice I don't see that one menu unless I click here. So I actually had to double click. It brought this here up. It's got for editing, viewing, and so on. Now, at any time you're working in the Office 365, you can open it in the regular Word. Okay, we're in Word Online. This is the online version. They got a pull down here. So anytime you're here and you say, no, I want to work on the regular Word, you can click here. It'll bring it up into regular Microsoft Word, and you can work on it. So that's always an option right here. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at some of these here. They can put a little frame on my picture. They got different ones I could do here. Okay, I'm just showing you just a few options here. Put a little drop shadow. You can pick any of these that you want. You know, try one out. They got all kinds of them here. Okay, I'm going to leave mine looking like this here. I don't know why the wrap text I'm looking for is not here. The one I'm looking for is called tight. And that's not giving me that option. So that's kind of strange. You can adjust height, width, aspect ratio. Alt text I'm not going to go into. That's used more for the web. Now let's go to, okay, they got a format picture. Let me click and see what this looks like. And it comes up. I can put a title on the picture. They got, you do custom cropping here, custom rotation here. But I'm not going to do any of that right now. Okay, I got the picture here, and now you can also do a right click. I just did a right click, and let's see here. I'm going to just change this here and see if it lets me move it where I want. No, it doesn't. Okay, that's kind of frustrating because I usually select one called tight, and it lets me do that. I put one in front of text, and again, did not let me do that. There's probably another way to do this. Okay, now they also got paragraph options here if you were doing something with a paragraph. Styles, grows, crop, new comment, cut, paste, change picture. So if you want to swap out the picture with another one, you can select and do that. So there's all kind of options here. I think for now we'll just keep it simple. It's insert a picture. That's good enough. And we did a little effect on it. If you ever had time, you can always do more on it. We're going to do I was going to do a caption. I'm looking for, let's go to insert menu. And we see we got link, comment, header and footer, page number, symbol. Okay, we'll take a look at this here. Let's see what comment does. Oh, that's a comment over here on the side of your document. We're not going to do that. Okay, mention or comment. Okay. Now somewhere in here is probably, I was looking for a text box. And a page break puts in a line, but it literally then will start the next page after that line. So let's say you're finishing a section of a document and you want anything after that section to start at the top of the next page, you can put in a page break. So if you want to put one in, yeah, I'd say go ahead and click one. It won't hurt wherever you're at. And, okay, so we'll just leave it at that for now. Let's do a table. So type 7, put a period, and type the word table, and then hit return. Now you have to be in the insert area to find table. Now I'm near the bottom of a page here, so I'm going to put my cursor just above this and hit return a couple times. So yeah, it goes on to a new page, so that's good. Okay. Occasionally you have to do that. If the page break is a problem, you can click here, hit delete, and take it out if it's a problem. I don't really care if it stays in there. But you want to type 7 period table and put a cursor underneath. Then on the insert menu, click on table here. And it might say, what do you do here, Mr. Rio? Well, see all these little squares here? That's a 1 by 1, that's a 2 by 2, that's a 3 by 3. That's a 5 by 3 and so on. Let's do 5 by 4. So that's 5 over and 4 down. And click. Okay, what it does, it brings up a table. This is not a spreadsheet. It's for just putting in whatever you want to put in a table to make it, organize stuff. So we're going to make this simple. We're going to put first block, and then we'll put second block. Then we'll put lunch. Then we will put fourth block because we only have a third block this year. And we'll do fifth block. Okay, so there's our blocks right there. So you can put down here what you have. Maybe you got English and history. And we'll skip lunch. And we'll put PE. And we'll abbreviate complet. Now, as you probably figured, you can put other stuff in here. You can have teachers' names. You can have notes about assignments, whatever it is you want to do. Let's see what we can do with this table. First, highlight across the whole top part right there. Now, see all that formatting that comes up there? There's a whole bunch of formatting in there. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the color there and go ahead and make your text there a different color than the rest of it. So I'm going to do this color here. It's kind of a reddish brown color. And I'm also going to click bold. Now you could also have highlighted there and clicked up here. Okay. Now also highlight all the text in these two. And we're going to do a simple alignment. So go up here, see where alignment is right there. We're still under the home toolbar. Go to center, and it will center everything in your table. Now, to be honest, we could, go through and edit all kinds of things in the table. And if you're in the full version of Word, you can put in like a light gray background. You can change the borders and all kinds of stuff. This table, if you click there and you highlight there, now we do got cell shading here. So when you click on that, you get options here. If you want to shade it all a little bit, I'm going to put a light gray on mine. If you want to try it, go for it. Let's see, what else could I do here? They got styles if I want to try a pre-made style. I could do the outline in a different color. I can change the font if I want it all in a different font. So you can do all kinds of editing here. So I'm going to deselect, and that's a basic table. And that's how you make that. Okay. So we insert a picture, we insert a table. We'll do just a couple more things here, and then we'll be done. That's going to be it. Okay, we're going to look around here and see what's going on. And know what we're going to do? We're going to go back up here. And, here, I'll show you some other stuff in just a minute. We'll come back. I'm looking around here. Some of our options we got. Okay, let's go back to insert. Okay, we get page break, table, picture. A link is to put in an external link. We may come back to that. Right now we're going to do header and footer. So right now next to number 8, before we do header and footer, put header and footer. Now we've done a little bit of this already. Headers and footers are a special area at the top and the bottom of each page, and anything you put in there will be on every page. So we're going to hit return now. What we're actually going to put in won't be right here. It'll be either at the top or the bottom. So click up here where it says header and footer. Okay, what it did was it put in, we have an area up here at the top for the header. So we'll put MS Word Test 2021 at the top, and at the bottom put your name. At the bottom highlight your name, and then when this pops up make it italic and make it 9 point. Usually the text in a header or footer is smaller. At the very top, highlight this here. This time we'll make it bold, italic. I don't care if you want to leave it 11 point, go ahead. If you want to make it a little bit smaller, it's up to you. And if you want to add a color just for something different, no, that's a highlight color. We'll do a regular color. I'll make mine orange. Okay. Now this will appear at the top of every single page. So if I have a 3, 4, 5 page document, it'll be at the top of every single one. That's the header. The footer will be, whatever I put there will be at the bottom of every page. Do you have to put something in both? No. You can do just a header or just a footer. But whatever you do is going to be on every page. So I'm going to deselect. Now how do I get out of this here? Let's see, you got options here. Now they got some options here I'm not going to go into. So I'm just going to double click here in the middle, and that should bring me back to the regular document. Okay, so that's how you do that. That's our header and footer. Now we're going to go on to number 9. We'll do page numbers. Now we don't actually put the page number right there. We're going to go up here, which is back under insert here. And we're going to go to, try to think where they hid the page numbers again. Add-ins, emojis, symbols. They got special symbols if you ever need to use them. Oh, there it is, page numbers. I know I saw it there somewhere. Now, when you go to do a page number, you have to decide where do I want it? Do I want to include a page count? So you can click any of these ones on the bottom. I want mine in the middle. Okay. And it put it right down here in my footer. Now let's see what options it got here. Same across entire document, different, even and odd. Okay, different, even and odd. Well, we won't worry about that right now in the interest of time. So I'm going to double click here in the middle. It'll bring me back to my regular document. We now have a page number. Okay, number 10. Before we do this, we're going to take a look around. Let's see what we got on layouts here. Layouts, like I said, we got the margins. The orientation, do you want your document up and down? That's portrait, or sideways, that's landscape. We got sizes. We always do 8.5 by 11 in class. We got various indents in here, comments, references. That's if you're in a class, say an English class, you're writing a paper that you need to do a footnote. They'll cover that in that class. You want a table of contents, you can do that. Review. You can check your word count, see like how many words you have in your document. You can translate documents if they're in different languages, and so on. Okay, and then we got view. We got different view options. You can, like I said, you can zoom in. You can do that down here, make it bigger or smaller. You can go view your header and your footer, and so on. There's help. If you're not sure how to do something, you can click on help and click and look for some help, like how do I, do something. And all these things you can find in the irregular. Go all the way back to home here. Take one glance through here. Okay. Well, let's go ahead. We'll go back up here. We're going to take one of our paragraphs again. So we'll highlight our first paragraph. We'll do a copy. And then we'll come back down here and we'll click next to number 10. And we will just simply put Format Painter. Then hit return under there. And then paste in your paragraph. So what is the Format Painter? Let me show you. Okay, we're actually going to do this. Okay, this here is in the same format we had up there. Now let's go back up here and pick a different paragraph. Let's pick this paragraph right here. Now while we're here, let's go ahead and make this in another font. Nothing radically different, maybe a little bit different. I'll do Times New Roman. So it doesn't look a lot different, but it looks a little different. Now let's say you like this paragraph. You like the way it looks. You like the font. You like the spacing. You like the first line indent. You like everything about it. And you want everything that this is formatted as in the last paragraph. Now watch this. You put your cursor in the paragraph. You want to copy the style. Okay, we're copying the style here. You click up here on this little paintbrush called Format Painter. See that? Okay, I clicked the little paintbrush up there. I scroll down. Okay. Now here's the paragraph I want to look like that. So here, see my cursor looks different. It's got the little paintbrush on it. Okay, if it doesn't, then you got to go back up and click that again. Now how it knows what to copy is because I put my cursor in that other paragraph. That's how it knows what to copy. Do that first. Click on the paintbrush. Drag across. Whoop, I accidentally missed a letter. That screwed everything up. Okay, and it formatted it. Okay, that one letter I missed, but now I can still fix that. I just highlight that, and I just click that again, I think. Well, I just click here. Whoops. I think that fixed it. Okay, so it copies all the formatting. The font, the spacing, the first line indent, whatever it is. If you had a color in there, it copies all of it. I use Format Painter all the time. I'll have something I like the formatting of. I don't want to look up to see what I did. I just click in it. I click on Format Painter, and then I go highlight that. Excuse me. So that is what we're going to do for our test. Okay, so you got to follow along. Okay, and we did, now some of these that, we just typed that in and then we had to make that someplace else. We did Format Painter, page numbers, header, footer, we did a table, we inserted a photo or a graphic. We did a bunch of stuff with paragraphs and the paragraph formatting. We did a little bit of stuff here with bold, italic, and highlight and that. We learned a little bit about dictation. So I'm going to make that bold so you can see that better. I'm going to make paragraphs bold here too so you can see that better. And then up here, make sure your name's on it. And that's it. Okay. Now you might say, Mr. Rio, do we have to save this? It's the last thing I'm going to show you here. No, you don't. It saves automatically to your OneDrive. You're in OneDrive right now. So then you say, Mr. Rio, I got to submit this to Google Classroom. How do I get it out of my OneDrive? Well, here's my recommendation, and there's more ways than one to do this, but this will probably be the easiest. Go over to your file menu. You don't have to hit save. It already has been saved. We just finished it. You're done. Now you got to get a copy. So do a save as. See that right there? Do a save as. Okay, this comes up here as save as. Now they also got download a copy if you want to download a copy to it. You can make a PDF out of it. I don't care once you've made it if you want to make a PDF out of it and share. I'll see that you've done the work. You can rename them if for some reason you want to rename it. But I'm just going to do a basic save as. So I'm going to hit save as. Now it comes up, you got to name it. So what would you name it? Probably your last name. And word test. Now if your last name's long, mine's really short, you can abbreviate or just put your initials and put word test. Okay. Now by default it wants to go probably in the documents folder. Okay, which if you're on a Windows computer that might be a good thing to do. Maybe you can get to that easily. So I don't know, that's your decision if you're on a Windows computer. For me, I'm going to click that and see what comes up as an option. Okay, I think I'm going to go to upload. I don't see it going to where I want it to go. I want to go to my Mac. Let me cancel this for a moment and try it again. Okay, maybe I'll just download a copy. That might be easier. Let's see what this does. Download a copy. Do you want to download a copy of this to work? This file and work offline. I'll put download a copy. Let's see what I get here. Okay, there it is right there. Now I'm not sure, it might go to my download folder, but I'm just going to click here and drag it to my desktop. Now it says document 4, so I'm going to click on that and rename it. And I renamed it Rio Word Test. Now it's got a .docx. I want to keep that. So I'll make sure I keep that. I don't delete the .docx. So there's one way to get it out there. So you can try any of these methods. whatever works for you to get a copy of it. Now what I'm going to do here, this is going to turn into a sample that I'm going to share with you for the test. So I'm going to finish up this tutorial now. So what did you have to do? You just follow me. That's it. You just make this. You just do the same things. You click around. It's going to take you a little while. Probably going to take you an hour. But that's okay. It's a combination review and the test itself. So this is the easiest way you can do a word test. You don't have to study anything. We're using the online version, so you're getting an introduction to this. Now, since I'm all done with this, I'm just going to go ahead and click here and open it in the desktop version. So this will take me to the full version. Open in Microsoft Word. All done. You can close file now. Okay, I'm going to click here, open Microsoft Word. Click continue. I'm not sure what this is going to do. I never tried this before, but it being I already made my copy, I figure I got nothing to lose. Okay, so we'll see what happens. I don't know if it's going to open up or what it's going to do here. Okay, it opened it in something. Let's see if this is going to be Word. No, it's still an online version. Okay. I'm not sure. I thought it was going to open up in the desktop version, but maybe for some reason it didn't. Maybe it did. Oh, I had to click on it, and it says grant access. So I'm going to grant access to it. Now it's going to say, please select a folder, OneDrive, Harper Creek. I'm going to click grant access. So it's wanting. Now you don't have to do this part. Okay, I'm just doing it. And look at it, worked just fine. I had to click a few grant accesses there. You saw that. But now I have it. This is the full version of Word. This is nicer to work in. But I have the Mac version. The Mac version is awesome. And I don't know why they make the Windows version look kind of weird. I've been on it. I don't like it. They do weird things. The Mac version looks so nice and elegant. A lot of it is about the same, but there's a few little differences. There's more features when you get up here. But, you know, now from here I can also make a copy. So I'll call this here my Word Test Sample 21. And this wants to go to OneDrive, but I'm going to click here, online location. No, I don't want online locations. I want it on my Mac. So I'll click on desktop and hit save. And I think I'm all set. So that last part, you don't have to do any of that. I just demonstrated it. But that's the full version of Word versus the online. So you learned about the online version. We all use the online version where I simplified the word test for you. We saved a lot of typing there. We made some important stuff. You got a feel for how it works. And that's it. You submit that. If you did everything you're supposed to do, you're going to get your 100 points. Yes, it's 100 points. I'm giving 10 points for each section. If you're going to spend over an hour doing this and take your time and do a good job and click on the menus, it's worth 100 points. So it's our review and our test all in one. That's it. Okay, so I'm going to end this recording right now. And just, submit your word test and you are all set. That's your big project of the week. So have a great week.